You ready?
Yeah.
All right. We're back. Actually, wait, hold on. Where's my phone's up there. Of course it's. Let me make sure this is actually episode 7. Oh, yeah. It is. Because once you start getting up in numbers, it starts getting. Okay. Yeah, we're back. This is episode 7 of the YJP, YG's podcast. I'm with Chey.
Pause. That is not how you say it.
Okay.
It is shy.
Shy. It is shy. And I should have known that, so I apologize.
It's all good.
And so we're just gonna get right into it. You know what we do? We do songs first, so let's go.
Some that boy when they vanished. Some that boy when they vanished. Some that boy when they vanished.
Have you heard this song before?
Some that boy when they vanished. Some that boy when they vanished. Always say I went got banished. Dance for the Lord like a disco. Main difference is I don't panic now. Tryna better fruit off a tangy. Me and Holy Spirit we just hanging. JC on some banging. Blood on my body like I'm breaking. That's all.
You know who Can I Say is? Can I Say? Yeah. Alright, we're gonna switch right into it. So I've never heard this song. Shai just sent it to me. So we're gonna play it.
All paid off, I don't want no mortgage. Can't find me no door. I don't need like champagne when I'm pouring. Always thought life on earth was cool, but I always knew that had to be more. Louis V. Prada, Christian Dior. These hoes on the same, they gon' start getting bored. Worry about things ain't even important. Shop online, hate going in stores. I'm an introvert like staying indoors. Fans like when you going back on tour. Baby like can't bring something from the store. Mine like the doc said he's unsure. Guy like
this is
standing
hard.
More. Crying at night when I sleep on the floor. All on my face, you can see I'm annoyed. I'm feeling play like a piano chord. Always been awkward since I was a boy. Then go to prom, I'd rather record. Been a little minute since I had the feeling. I put it in right and the feeling the void. It's coming together like a Megazord. Look what you tried to do.
Like a Megazord. Wow. Do you know what a Megazord is from?
Nope.
It's Power Rangers. That's a deep cut. The fact that that's a deep cut. The fact
that went right over my
head. The joke's on you. Don't try to blame what you did to yourself. Life is a game and I'll come with a ref. Get mad all you want, they ain't calling no text. You think that you know, but I promise you don't. You can't draw a conclusion that even.
Where is he from?
You want a feature and cut me a check. I keep on running till I'm out of breath. Keep it 100 cause 99 never gon' do. Life is a jungle but I'm free but rabbits, I'm out of the zoo. I'm with my dogs like mama do. My mama told me raise a roof. People's feelings changing every day but you can't change the truth. All these rappers sweet to me, it's time to eat a Margin boo. Jesus in my heart, yo he don't work on me, I'm fireproof. They all bought and paid for, might as well just be some prostitutes. I'm here to share the naked truth like earth if we ain't try to fruit. Talk too much, your lips are loose, not safe to come confide in you. Why would I cry to you? It always be the ones that say they ride and die for you. Tried to find another, but
did you think about it? I'm about to say that.
No, I just. Sorry,
no, you're good.
I don't know why I want to say Texas.
Okay, Texas. Shout out to the Texas.
But don't quote me on that. I used to know all of this stuff too, cause like Aha has been my favorite for a while. But
oh, for real?
Yeah.
He's like on your Spotify Wrapped. It was like Aha.
Oh yeah.
Like 100%.
Yeah.
Like 1,000 hours.
And this one's kind of this song's like newer for me, but yeah, I love the breakdown.
I love it.
The station with the best
like the whole
music.
I love music.
I love the music.
So dope.
Best music.
You are now in the mix with DJ Savage.
We're back. YJP, YG's podcast, episode 7. I'm here with Chey Walker. Thank you so much for coming. It's an honor to have you, to introduce her. She is a cellist. And we have a long list, so be with us. Oh my God. She is a cellist, a firefighter, a stylist, and she does hair. Also very, very passionate about fashion, but more importantly, she's a woman of God. Amen. And so, Chey, welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. All right, so we're just going to get straight into it. we've met a handful of times now, and we've had some great conversations. And so, yeah, like when I hit you up, like I was like, who could I get like on the podcast? And I'm like, Shy, like I remember the conversation we had like at Friendsgiving, and I was like, yo, like this would be a really intellectual conversation. I think people would appreciate it, especially talking about faith and what's going on in the world, talking about churches, and she is the first woman guest on the pod. We got hold on. No, we get first woman guest on the pod, so that's huge. So we're gonna get a whole new perspective this episode, and so we're gonna dive into a lot of those topics too. So I'm so excited about that. So again, thank you. But first, who you are. So kind of just walk me through early life. You know, little Shy. How was how was that? You're the only girl in your family, right? Like
I have an older sister.
You have an older sister,
Yeah.
but you have a lot of brothers, right?
3 brothers.
3 brothers.
Yep.
Okay, yeah. How was that?
I loved it. I wouldn't have it any other way. Like,
Awesome.
I love having a lot of siblings. So a little bit about me, like growing up. For those of you who don't know, I was homeschooled. So
Okay.
there's a lot of like,
all the way through.
all the way through.
Wow.
Every one of us, all the way through. My older sister, she went to like kindergarten, I think, and then my mom pulled her out, and then she just started homeschooling. But that was like right at like the cusp of like when homeschooling was like becoming popular and like a thing.
What was the reason? Do you know? Like why they just went into it?
My mom just like, she would see like the results from even just at like a kindergarten age, like my sister, come home and just be like so kind of dead and like not very, they would just teach them so much, and then she would come home and it's like immediately it's like you need to do your homework for the next day.
Yeah.
And she would just be so exhausted, and she was like, how can a kindergartner be like done with life this fast? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just like so like maxed out.
Just drained.
So drained. So she really just had a heart for like, okay, I think that there's another way. And at the time we had a babysitter that was homeschooled, and that was like my mom's like first introduction to homeschooling.
Okay.
And she was like super mature, the typical homeschooler, like super mature for their age, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Very like responsible. And my mom really saw that as like a great example for like how she wants her kids to be when they grow up.
Love it.
So she just started looking into it and asking the mom of this girl, I think her name was like Rebecca or something, or no, Renee. It was Renee.
Okay.
It doesn't matter. But
Shout out to Renee.
shout out Renee. And so she looked into it, and then she kind of just like threw herself into it. Pulled my sister out of school, and at the time I was like preschool age, and was like, yeah, I want to do this. And so we were all homeschooled from all the way up until like we graduated. None of us went to college, have been to college,
Okay.
or anything like that. So my older sister, we're 15 months apart, and so she's 25, I'm 24, and then I have 3 younger brothers, one that's 23, 21, and almost 11-year-old.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Big gap there. Okay. Cool.
Yeah. So it was just like the 4 of us like
Yeah.
rocking out for like the longest time,
Right.
and then all of a sudden my baby brother.
There you go. That's cool.
Yeah. So that's kind of like the early stages of us growing up was, being homeschooled, being at home all the time. Of course, I don't know how much like about homeschooling, but like you have to like be proactive in like getting your kids in other activities.
Oh, yeah, that's
because
true.
It's like if you're being homeschooled,
You're just at home.
you're at home.
Yeah.
24/7.
Yeah.
So we did these things like tutorials and things like that. We did like a music academy thing. It was like every Tuesday. It was called National Notes.
Okay.
So then we would go. I started out doing like piano for 4 years,
Okay.
and I loved music, but I hated piano. And so I was like, Mom, like I don't want to do this anymore. And she was like, well, you still need to like learn an instrument. And so like I thought about it, and then I was like, I don't want to play the violin because that's like too high. And I don't want like upright bass because that's too low. And I was like, well, it's kind of in the middle.
Cello.
Exactly.
Dang. So that's how we got to the cello. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's dope. And so you've stuck with it. Just
I did. Yeah. Literally, I sat down and I like played a few notes, and I was like,
this is it.
my
Yeah. This
instrument.
is it. This is it. I love that.
I was like, I vibe with this.
No, that's awesome.
Yeah. And so I've been playing cello for like 10 and a half years now.
Wow.
So a little while.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And so when did faith, was faith always kind of introduced into the household? Like, did you guys grow up going to church? Kind of how did that journey intertwine, with your family dynamic?
Yeah. So, part of like being homeschooled, that my parents really wanted to like foster at home was also like being taught like faith from the home too.
Okay.
And not just, hey, we go to church every Sunday,
Yep.
type deal.
Yeah.
My mom and dad would do family devotions.
Love that. Yep. Same.
Yep. And I love that. Like,
Yeah.
looking back on that, I was like, that was so goated. Like,
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
So a lot of like good, spiritual disciplines learned in the home.
Yes.
Which was great.
Yes.
And then, as far as churches go, my earliest memory of church was probably, I know the first church that I remember going to was back in like 2011, I think. I know we went to, I think, Brentwood Baptist.
Okay.
Like when I was
And so
very young.
you've been here your whole life.
Oh yeah, born and raised here, Nashville, Tennessee.
That's first. Unicorn.
Yep,
Shout
Unicorn.
Out, Unicorn. The Unicorn fashion show.
Shout out John.
Shout out. Shout out John. Shout out
John.
John. Shout out to you. That's so funny. Okay, yeah. So Brentwood Baptist. Okay.
Yep. And that kind of, I don't like, that was just kind of where we were at, like a very young age. It was a mega church even back
Really?
then,
Okay.
and now it's even bigger, I think. And so
Okay.
that was just kind of like the consistency of like going to church every Sunday is what we do as Christians. And
Yeah.
that didn't have like a big impact on my life. It was just kind of like, oh yeah, we're Christians, we go to church.
Right.
But then in 2011, I would have been about like 10, is like the first church I remember, like more vividly. And it was a small church. I think it started off at like a house church or something.
Okay.
But by the time we went there, it was people went there. And there's probably collectively like 8-9 families that went to that church.
Okay.
But they were like all homeschooled.
Wow.
So it was
Okay.
kind of like a homeschool
church, like
church,
community.
yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. And they also like ran a tutorial out of there, which I never went to, but they did that as well.
Awesome.
Yeah, and that was just kind of like the basis of like what church was supposed to be.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah. And so personally, kind of like growing up in that community, how was your personal relationship with God? Like, did you have that? Because I know for me, like, it was hard. I really didn't have a personal relationship growing up because like both of my parents were ministers and I grew up in the church. So it was like it became routine for me. Was that
So
something?
you were at PK.
You could say that. You could say that. Like, my mom wasn't like necessarily like on staff as a pastor, but like she was an ordained minister. Like, she would preach
Okay.
from time to time. So I would say yes, just because she would prophesy over us, preach to us in the house. Like my dad too. Like they was just on it. But like, was that, as far as like your personal relationship with Christ growing up, like has it always been strong? Like, was it lacking a little bit? Like,
Yeah.
how did that?
I would say it's definitely like growing up, it was very strong. I had a very good sense of like right and wrong.
That's
and
good.
I was very much so like whatever my parents said was like the right way,
Yeah.
the right thing and stuff
Yeah.
like that. I would say I was like saved when I was like 5, but it's like, years go on, like you kind of have to like make that decision, like, every day to
Yeah.
follow Christ. you know?
Yes.
But I would say like definitely in the younger years, very much so. Like I've always had a deep set love for Christ and like what he did for me and stuff like that. I think in like later years, like I've never had a doubt that God exists, that like what he says in his word is true. But if,
Yeah.
there's like the other things that you kind of just like wonder about, like why is like church so hard sometimes, and like why is people in the church say they're Christians and then they act a different way.
Come on.
Things
Come
like
on.
that. So,
We get into it now. We
I
get
mean-
into it. Come on. No, so in your church, like, was there a lot of hypocrisy? Like, did you see that like growing up, or like what was?
all right. So,
Let's
So-
go.
so after that first like church, we were there for like 5 or 6 years.
Okay.
And then we moved on to the church that I was like, that was the longest like period that we were there. And that was from basically like 2016 to probably like 2022, 2023.
Okay.
That was like my biggest development, like kind of just like, even just like going through puberty, just like becoming an adult, like all of that was like wrapped up in this church. And we like dove like headfirst into this church, and it was a lot. It was IFB, Independent Fundamental Baptist Church.
Okay.
So I don't know if you know.
I don't know too much about IFB, so I just go into just a normal Baptist church, so I didn't know the difference.
So like some of the things that they would teach, like they would say like KJV only, like version of the Bible, no other version.
I think I remember you telling me a little bit about this. Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
KJV
like
only.
basically everything else is some would say a sin to read any other version other than the KJV, specifically the KJV. I think it's like the 1900s like version.
That's old.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So we're talking about art thou, all that.
Oh yeah, thee, thou, thy. Yeah.
Yeah.
All of
that.
Yeah.
Deep in there. Okay.
Yeah. And alcohol is a sin, period. Like don't look at it, don't touch it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. No exceptions.
No wiggle room. Like it was really, there were definitely people there like that like didn't have every, how it is with the church where it's like, okay, like we attend this church, but we don't completely agree with everything that they say.
Yeah.
And like in to a certain capacity.
Yeah.
Like, that's just how it is sometimes. Yeah. But this church was definitely like, there's definitely an older crowd that kind of went there, more traditional.
Okay.
Very legalistic in a lot of different ways.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
Even like there was like, it was never like quite said, but it was everybody needed to wear like a skirt that was at least knee length or below. If it was any higher than that, or if you wore pants, it was looked down upon. You would be pulled aside type deal. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So this is strict. Okay.
Yeah,
so
very strict.
So how did that, what did that do to you? Like you saw that happening and like, you just like, what did that?
Yeah. It was just like, it was growing up. It was kind of all I knew. So, I had my like, my own thoughts about certain things. But I mean, for me, someone who's always loved fashion since I was young, like being restricted to wearing like certain things. It's like, I believe in like modesty and
for
like,
sure.
And stuff like that. But, these claims that they would make, it's like, can you back it up with scripture?
That's what I was just about to ask you. Like when they were making these claims, were they giving scriptural evidence as to why they were saying these things?
Sometimes they were, because like the skirt thing, it was always, there was a school attached to this. So the school was definitely like way more strict. And so they would actually have guidelines that you had to follow. Like if you were a teacher, if you were a student, there's that whole side of things. So like that's more set in stone. But as the church, like it was a little different. And there would be people that like wore pants, a few people, not very many, that would wear pants to church. And it just felt like they were outcasts, or like that, everyone was kind of like side-eyeing them,
A lot of judgment.
Yeah. And even back in the day, I know, like, because I've heard stories, like, back when it was, even way more traditional and legalistic. Yeah. Like, there was a story of one woman that, like, walked into the church with, like, a pantsuit or something like that, and they literally turned her away.
Wow.
And I was like...
Escorted her out.
Yeah, they said, nah, you gotta go, because that's inappropriate.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
So things like that. So that's the kind of atmosphere I grew up in.
So that come as you are stuff, no.
Nah, they didn't know what that meant.
Like, no, you gotta.
That was before that saying.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
No, I'm kidding.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And I think what's the word? Cessational or cessationism, or it's like the ceasing of the gifts.
Okay.
Like they believed in that hardcore. Like they don't believe like in tongues. They don't believe in any of that.
Like basically the opposite of charismatic.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
For sure. What else? Oh, heavy emphasis on the Great Commission and soul winning.
Okay.
Specifically soul winning. Like, there's the thing. We would go to church Sunday morning, Sunday evening, and Wednesday nights. And occasionally, like, extra things. If there was a Saturday when there was this activity going on, like, we were just in church all the time.
Wow.
Which I think was a positive thing, especially like, there wasn't a whole lot to do when I was a kid. You know what I mean? It's just like, when you're homeschooled, you get done with your work at like 11 a.m. and then you have the rest of the day to do whatever. So it was always
That's
like,
a vibe.
Yeah,
I can't
no,
even
it
lie.
is.
Like I got like, bro, we was in school. We had to stay there from like 9 to like 4. Basically a job. Basically a job.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah.
So I appreciate all of like the freedom that comes with that.
Yeah.
And so I was able to do like art. Like I would draw. I don't want to get off the subject of church, but
No, you're
like,
good.
Just being able to do like a lot of different things, and like we had horses growing up, and like riding and
Oh my
racing.
gosh.
Yeah.
Y'all was racing horses?
Yeah, it was like pole racing and barrel racing. I was about to get into roping and then didn't do it. But
This was just like in the backyard? Like you
yeah, yeah. We
my
have
God.
like 5.2 acres, and
Wow.
we sectioned off like an acre and a half, and we kept like 2 horses.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
Wow.
So fun.
That's crazy. Okay, so then like to the hypocrisy in the church, like so there was people that were making these claims and then but not really living it out. Like what was your earliest like memories of like seeing that happen, and you kind of like whoa, like
I think it was more like I don't know, like what was I gonna tell you? This one, I think like the people's testimonies was like very important to them.
Mm-hmm.
Like you couldn't sing on stage if you didn't have a good testimony.
interesting.
So like you could be a Christian, but it's like if we found out that, like somebody through the grapevine told us that, you got a tattoo, that's like hidden or something, that it's like you're not gonna serve. Like you can't do that.
And by good testimony, what do you mean? Like good in like the moral sense, like good like you came from the wretches, like you were whatever, and then you came to Christ, or like what do you mean by good? Like
I mean, I guess by like their standard, like I'm not sure because I was so young growing up, so I wasn't able to like ask a lot of those like questions
Yeah.
of like the leadership of like, well, why though?
Yeah.
Like why exactly? Like,
yeah.
do you have these sort of, but I do remember like, cause I played, cello they had like a full like, choir and orchestra.
That's awesome.
And played a lot of traditional music, which I loved, hymns and things like that.
Awesome.
And certain arrangements, but they would even like down to key signatures of
Wow.
songs be like, oh, you can't play this certain song because this key signature, which is like the devil's beat, stuff like that. Like,
Wow. They had it down like that.
yeah, and
That's
so
crazy.
there's a lot of these things that's just like I know about and I hear about, but I don't really know exactly why. Like I couldn't tell you like exactly which scripture that they would have pointed to,
Right.
and said like, oh, this is where like we, configured this.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's interesting, right? Because like you have like these leaders in the church, and there's a level of it of like discernment and kind of guiding from the Holy Spirit that like, because even I've heard people say things that and make claims that are not necessarily scriptural, but I guess in the logic sense, and like when it would make sense that would probably not be the wisest thing to do, but it's like it's not scriptural.
Yeah. Like
So-
I will say, like I feel like a lot of these things that they did had good intentions.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
didn't think it was malicious in any
Okay.
way. Yeah.
So you didn't think that they were trying to like manipulate people in like let's say like a negative way, in a sense?
I don't think that they were trying to do that, but I think with these sort of like legalistic standpoints, it becomes negative because you
Yeah.
have people that question that
Right.
authority.
That's right.
Then you
Yeah.
have problems in the church because now you're questioning people in authority over you
Mm-hmm.
in a church setting, so like that's, I think, where it gets shaky.
Yeah, for sure. And so remind me, like, so what was the age range that you were in this church? You were in, 'cause I know you said you were like growing up, you
Yeah.
were going through puberty, all these other things.
From about like, it's like 14 or 15 to, let's see, probably like 21.
Okay, so this
22,
is like
maybe?
somewhat kind of recent that you
Kind of
left.
somewhat recent. Yeah.
Yeah. So like, was there any like kind of like emotional, maybe spiritual kind of baggage or maybe hurt that left that came from leaving that? Okay.
Yeah. A lot.
A lot. Okay.
In the midst of all of this,
Mm-hmm.
my older sister runs away from home.
Wow.
in like with a dude from church.
Oh wow.
And what's funny is like he was like the rebel, like everyone
Like
knew him,
the bad boy
like
of the
he
church.
was the bad boy of the church.
Yeah.
You know, like he was a felon. Like he literally, like I heard like one of like the stories about him is like he like went to a mosque and put like bacon on all the doorknobs of, you know what I mean, just like stuff like that. Been to jail like many times and has a lot of mental issues and stuff.
Wow.
And my sister, I guess, like fell in love with him, or I don't really know. It was kind of like a whole twisted thing. But
Yeah.
I woke up one morning and we shared a room growing up, and she was just gone. And there was like a note on her pillow that just basically said like, "Don't try to find me," blah blah blah. And then, you know, of course I lose it,
Right.
run downstairs, "Mom, Dad," you know, and they're just like running around like
How
freaking out.
how old were you when this happened?
Let me think. This was like, I think maybe 7 years now.
Wow.
7 years ago, maybe.
That's a lot to like.
Yeah.
At that age, like that's a lot to deal with.
Yeah, because she ran away when she was, I think, 18. So I would have been like 17. Yeah, so I was
Wow.
about 17.
That's
Yeah.
crazy. And so so you told your parents like kind of how did that happen? Like
Yeah.
what went on after that?
Yeah, I mean, we obviously like knew who she went with because
Right.
there had been like some things leading up to that. Obviously, we never thought that she would leave the house like that.
Yeah.
And she like went out like one of the back windows and like cut the screen out and stuff. And I'm not gonna lie, I feel like some of this stuff was like trauma blocked because I don't really remember like certain sequences and like in that time frame.
Yeah.
But I just remember like it was like the worst sort of time ever for my family because
Yeah.
you know, my mother's beside herself, my dad's trying to protect my sister and trying to find her and get her out of the grasp with this dude's hands basically. And
Yeah.
so that was a whole thing. I remember we eventually she had been like, obviously he had been like abusing her and stuff like that.
Really?
And yeah.
Wow.
And we found her because we talked to the parents and was like, dude, like I don't care that this is your son, this is our daughter, like basically like give it up, like where is he, you know?
Yeah.
My dad went and found her, and I can't remember if like she went willingly or
He like forced her.
I don't know, because there was definitely a thing between there that they had to be careful with since she was 18 now. She's technically an adult.
Mm-hmm.
So she already had like issues with like authority, like my parents and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, you know, it could have been turned against them.
Yeah.
So they, you know, it was kind of more like a, can we persuade you to come back home?
Yeah,
like, where
because they
you're safe?
can't necessarily technically force her to come back. Yeah.
Yeah. So I remember her coming back briefly. I don't remember for how long. And then she was out again. And then, you know, kind of over the span of a few years, she kind of would hop back and forth because she, you know, needed a job and she couldn't find one. And then she didn't have any money. So then she came back and then she would go out again. And so like now she's been out for a while and she's doing okay. But yeah, that was like in my like development, like that was probably like the craziest thing like I've been through in my life so far.
Yeah.
And then like still continually dealing with.
Yeah.
But I feel like, you know, kind of circling back to church, I feel like her and I have like a very different perspective on like how we grew up and stuff like that.
For sure.
And I tend to look back on, you know, the church in that way as like it was a good foundation, but now
Yeah.
I'm trying to, you know, blossom into like other things and, you know, find things out for myself. And she saw it as just torture.
Wow.
So it's
Yeah.
like, it's really interesting.
And one could understand both sides of the coin for that 100%.
Yeah.
So no, that's crazy. And so, it was derived directly from her experience at that church.
I'd say that's a big part.
That's
yeah.
a big part of why she ended up doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Without getting into like family issues.
Yeah, for sure. No.
Because there's definitely like a few different things in play there, but
Yeah. So she just wanted to kind of get out of that situation. That's crazy. And so, personally, like kind of, so you were 14 when that happened. Like you growing up as like a young woman, basically, that's a lot to lot to deal with. How did you deal with that, like kind of with God, like in understanding that whole process and like kind of like trying, because it seems like now you've kind of come to terms with kind of how it's happened.
Yeah.
How long did it take, and how did that process look like to get to that point?
I mean, I'm still trying to figure it out. But like I'm at a very like better place now, especially also knowing like you know, just for her like well-being, like she's doing much better now.
Yeah.
She's like a completely different person than
Amen.
who I remembered.
Yeah, that's good.
You know, so like that's, you know, interesting, but it's, you know, just kind of an everyday thing, and I'm glad that I can still be in contact with her, because there was a time where she cut everybody off, you know?
Wow, okay.
And so that was crazy, because especially growing up in a homeschool family, it's like everyone is like that.
Yeah, for
like
sure.
my mom is like my best friend, you know?
Yeah, I love
which,
that.
you know, that can, you know, be a lot, but also
For
like,
sure.
it is like a safe haven, like someone, you know, you can trust in, you know? But yeah, I don't know. I think like growing wise, it was like a lot to go through like mentally, but
For sure.
I wouldn't trade it, because it's like I've been able to relate to a lot of different people,
Of course.
just for that. And I was just even thinking about this like the other day. It was just like, if we never went through anything, we wouldn't be able to relate to people, and they wouldn't be able to relate to us, you know, when they go through things.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, I always kind of find the beauty in hardships, because it's like,
Yes.
you know, if your dad passed away or something, and then, you know, you have a friend that, you know, their dad passed away,
Yeah.
then you can kind of be like, man, like,
Exactly.
I kind of know what you're going through,
Exactly.
you know, and meet them there, you know, too. But
Exactly.
yeah,
That I think God, you just touched on a great topic. Like I think God uses that 100% uses that. Like when we're talking to people, it makes, because I think a lot of people have this ideal of Christians, and like they're supposed to be like this moral high ground, and they're but
yeah,
it's like,
and it's
like,
always great.
yeah,
you know?
it's like, that is not the case. Like, no, like we go through hardships and things just like anybody else. And I think it brings us back down to a level of relatability that it's like, okay, like it makes
We're human.
Exactly. It makes their ears kind of open. You know what I'm saying? And so I think that's important. That's why it's a testimony. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The test of that kind of stuff. What have you seen, kind of flipping, moving away from the negative point of it, like kind of positively, how have you seen like God move through your life, like kind of through that time and now up to now? Like what are some of the great things that you've seen?
I think since coming like out of that church, like my mind has been like open to like so many, like I was homeschooled, so yeah, I was kind of sheltered.
Okay, right.
So then I'm going to this church that's super, super conservative, traditional, like
more sheltering.
Yeah, more sheltering.
Yeah.
And then kind of coming out of all of that, you know, graduating, deciding not to go to college, trying to find a way for myself, doing all these weird random hobbies, working a lot and stuff. It was like super eye-opening that like people have other perspectives, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Because I really thought, like growing up, like what I was taught, like this is the right way. There's nothing else.
100%.
And so it was like a lot of dealing with. I would have friends that would like, you know, have these like new ideas, and they were scary for me, because I'm like,
I've never heard this before.
I've never heard this before, and I think that you're wrong.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah.
And it was always in my mind. It was like, if you think any way else other than like how I was like raised to believe, you're wrong.
Yeah.
And so that was interesting, because I had to make that switch like really fast, because like people, you know, you can't get along with people, you know, if you automatically like shut down, you know, what they believe.
Exactly.
So I think it was a lot of like that, just kind of trying to be patient, like with God and like in myself, and like trying to understand all these different like worldviews and perspectives.
100%.
And now I think it's like super interesting. You know? And I have a friend group that we have everywhere from atheist to Anglican to Eastern Orthodox to, you know, like all these different, you know, and like that was super scary for me at first. So anyways, I think it just like opens your mind to a lot of the individuality of people and how God created them, and what everybody, how they can take the Bible and they can just think something differently about it. And that's super intriguing to me, because I just thought that there was one way.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah. 100%. No, that's beautiful. Cause I think God will bring people in our life that he wants us to reach. And I think on the contrary of like continuing to be, you could argue like if you're continuing just to be kind of closed-minded in that way and not open to understanding other beliefs or other viewpoints on certain things that the Bible says or what have you, then you're not like questioning your own understanding and what you believe in, and in turn that can even make what you believe stronger, because you're going back to the drawing board and be like, okay, this person said this, let me think about this, let me look this up, let me, like, you know what I'm saying, research this. And I think those type of conversations are so edifying for the kingdom, because it just makes our faith stronger. I heard like a great, I forget who it was from, but if you're not actively questioning what you believe in, like, there's a problem.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, cause
see, that would have, if you said that to me, like, you know, years ago, I'd have been like, you're not supposed to question what you believe in, you know?
Yeah.
But like, that's so true though.
Yeah.
You have to figure it out for yourself.
100%. Yeah.
But sorry, go ahead.
No. I was just that's what I was saying, because you were, because I know you had said like you didn't really have the space to question the leaders, you know, in your church, yeah, exactly. Your church, that was like that was frowned upon. How like trickling that down like to the rest of your family, like kind of how did, like with your younger brothers, like how did that like kind of affect them, and like how did you take a kind of a stand like as an older sister to kind of like, you know, trying to help them out, like deal with it? Like how did that work?
Yeah, so once my sister left, I obviously kind of became the stand-in.
That's just gonna say, yeah, like you were the oldest.
Yeah, and there was a lot. I think all the weight of like the first sibling was now put on me.
Yeah.
Which, you know how it is, like growing up, you know, just kind of parents. I'm like, you are the example for, you know, your younger siblings, and like it's true, but also that can be a big burden to bear.
For sure.
And so I was definitely like, I have to be the role model. Like that is my job now, you know. But I was the first one to leave that church.
Okay.
And then you know, my parents didn't really get it at first. And I kind of like slowly started to talk to them about like all of these kind of things, and just kind of, you know, in light of, you know, my sister leaving and like all this stuff. And, you know, it's a lot of touchy, you know, subjects and topics and stuff. But I was like, I mean, we got to talk about this.
For sure.
We're imploding.
Yeah. No. Yeah. It's kind of like the elephant in the room.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I think in our family, like, we're really good at suppressing everything too. So it's refreshing to be able to like talk about stuff.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't say like I'm the one that like always wants to talk about stuff, but it's like I feel like I'm always the one that kind of introduces new ideas, and so it's like that, you know, promotes conversation. And so I was like, hey, like, I don't know if I want to like be at this church long term.
Yeah.
You know, and they were like, what do you mean? You know.
Yeah.
And because we've been there for many years.
Yeah.
Know? And you know how it is when you get set in a church.
Yeah, you just... You
know everybody knows you. They know your family. We were the people that sat, like, on the front row. Everybody knew our family. We would all sit together.
Had your spot. Like, it just... routine. You had it. You had it down.
You know, we would play up on stage, so we were just always, like, front and center, like, you know, for the entirety of us being there. And so I think there was a lot of, like, what are people going to think of us?
Yeah.
You know, type stuff. So I remember introducing that, you know, idea to them, because I was basically like, yeah, I think I'm gonna
dip out.
Yeah, like respectfully.
Yeah, respectfully, I'm out. Yeah.
So, and then they, you know, they had a pretty good response, but they still, I don't think, really understand it. And then the more, like, over time, I started like kind of talking to them some of, you know, the things I'd been dealing with and just trying to figure out. And like, I don't think that all of these things are really biblical, you know, and they kind of actually started to kind of maybe see the light a little bit too, and then they eventually left.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah. So, and then, like, my brother now, the one that's right below me, he's going to a Presbyterian church.
Okay.
Cool. And so he, you know, he really likes the style. It's more traditional. I think the only thing, like he's been with that church for a while now, so I'm glad he's there. And then my, the younger brother under him doesn't go to church.
Okay.
And then obviously my sister doesn't go to church. So we have like two siblings that don't go to church, and then the two middle siblings, me and my brother, we still go to church.
And your parents left too. Kind of where are they at?
So in the midst of my church hunting, I found a Baptist church down the road from where I live in Nolensville, and I went there and actually joined membership.
Hey.
Just to basically like dip after that, because I don't know. We can get to that later. So I was like there for a few months. I also had like friends that had invited me, and then they, you know, were going there, and so it was also kind of like I was seeing them and having a great time. And then when they left that church, I kind of
You were just
followed,
yeah.
you know, and then they're the ones that actually became like Orthodox,
Okay. Wow.
which was like a huge jump, but
Yeah.
that's really cool for them.
Yeah.
And then my parents just stayed basically because they like followed me and was like, oh, you know, because I was like, hey, it's a great church. You know, my little brother, he's 10, so I'm like, it's a great kids program here, like all that stuff.
Okay.
So
So they're still there.
they're still there. They've been
Okay.
going there for years now. So.
Okay, that's awesome.
So yeah, so I think that's cool that they found their kind of forever church for right now. You
Yeah.
know? And then I am still.
You're still on the
hopping
hunt.
around.
hey, that's all right. And no, and one thing, and I think that's why when we were talking at the fashion show that I invited you to my church because La Casa is such
Shout out La Casa.
yeah, shout out La Casa, shout out to Pastor Freaky, Pastor Margot. It's such a diverse church. Like for one, it's bilingual. So like, you know, that adds a different layer to the diversity. And there's people from there's so many people from every country like around the world, not just, you know, Latin America, but you know, we have people from, our pastor is Egyptian, like, you know what I'm saying?
Oh,
like,
I love that.
yeah,
Yeah.
like, you know, and he speaks like 7 languages. So when we have people from Brazil, when we have people from the Middle East, when we have people from wherever, like he's able to converse with them. And so like, and we have people just from everywhere. And so like, we're getting all these different cultures and all these different stuff. And like, I think that's just like so important because, you know, talking about the great commission, make disciples of all nations, you know, and they really push that. They really push the community aspect of bringing every people from all nations together. And so that's why I love my church, and that's good that in your own friend group that you're able to have the people that from different, you know, beliefs, backgrounds, in that too. And I think that's just really important.
Yeah, to have diversity in, you know, whatever you want to say, denomination, and, you know, that kind of stuff is really eye-opening because, you know, there's a lot of similarities, but then there's like also a lot of differences where it's like really interesting, especially like the Eastern Orthodox, like, because I went and attended their church like twice, you know, to see what it was all about.
Okay, tell me about that, because I've only heard of Orthodox and only seen their churches. Beautiful churches, by the way.
Yeah.
Like they look amazing. But I've been to a service. Like how is that?
Yeah. They're going to hate me for saying this, but it's the only thing I know how to say because like I, you know, grew up in a Baptist church, but it reminds me of a Catholic church only because of like the traditionalism and the priests and, you know, it's very ceremonial and like,
Do the women wear veils in Orthodox, or is that only Greek Orthodox? Because I've seen that.
I think that I've seen like some wear and some not. I don't know. Maybe specific like churches are more, you know, traditional in that sense where they like are required to or do, and then some maybe are more progressive. I don't really know how that works, but I have seen it before.
Okay, yeah.
Even like Presbyterian.
Really?
I've seen,
okay.
Like, some of the women like wear head coverings.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay.
So,
cool. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I'm just curious.
No, you're good. But very Catholic in the sense of like I walk in, it's kind of stained glassy. It's like high ceilings and there's like incense burning over here, you know, and like, you know, the architecture of like the buildings are very, you know, beautiful and just gorgeous. Like, you know, very, very Catholic in a sense. But yeah. And I think they do like icons. And so they have like saints. Okay. And so they'll have like, I don't know which ones, like I don't want to say the wrong thing, but like they have different little icons and stuff. Like one of my friends, you know, that goes there, like they have those like saints like framed and like on the wall, and then like there's like a little section for like burning incense, and then there's even like a little booklet, like certain times of the day you would like pray, and you like go through these. So
interesting.
It's very methodical and stuff like that, and I think there's a beauty in like that tradition of having that sort of like structure, you know. But I don't know, it's just it's a whole different world.
Yeah,
you know?
No, for sure. Yeah, because like I said, I've only seen it, and it seems like beautiful, but there's only that's awesome. Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, I want to switch gears because I have to ask you this. What made you want to become a firefighter, bro? That is tough. Like how like that seems like, because you see like I think when I first met you, that my jaw was on the floor when you said that. Yeah. Because I could be, okay, here's a girl, like she got, you know, all this fly, like, you know, clothes on, she got the jewelry. I'm just like, oh yeah, I'm a firefighter. I'm like, oh, cool. Like, yeah. Tell me like what, like why?
Well, one thing about my personality is I have like these two polar opposites
Yes,
to me.
okay.
Where it's like I have like I do have a feminine side to
Yeah.
where it's like, yeah, I'm a woman, you know, but like also like there's this other side. And I don't know if it was like growing up with three brothers. I don't know.
I was gonna say, yeah.
I've always had like the undertones, like tomboy undertones,
gotcha.
you know, and I love, you know, getting in the dirt, getting muddy, you know, doing all that stuff. But I mean, firefighter, like specifically, like that was kind of a means to an end, because the reason why I got into it, it wasn't something I was like, you know, when I grow up, I'm gonna be a firefighter.
Yeah.
It wasn't like that.
Yeah.
But I wanted to get with this ministry that did international disaster relief.
Awesome.
It was like an on-call response thing where you would go, and like they would call you up, and within like 24 hours you would deploy to, you know, the point of destruction, you know, in anywhere in the world, like, you know, hurricane, you know, hit Honduras, I don't know, you know, and then it would be like, okay, you would be there in 24 hours, you know, on a plane, and
That's
you would
dope.
Be helping out. And so when I wanted to get with that ministry, I didn't go to college. I called them up. I was like, how do I get hired with y'all? Blah, blah, blah. And they were like, oh, like, what'd you go to college for? Like, blah, blah, blah. I was like, I didn't go to college. I would just love to be a part of the team, you know? And they were like, well, and I was like, okay. So then a couple years later, I went to like a church convention or something. And the same ministry that I was trying to get with was like tabling at that event. And I was like, let me just go. Like,
let me see.
Like, yeah, let me see.
Let me
go
what's
talk to someone. Yeah. And so I walked up to this girl and I was like, hey, so like a couple years ago, like I was interested in this program, blah, blah, blah. And she was like, oh, she was like, yeah, like I do that. Like, and I was like, oh, really? And I was like, how did you get in? Like, what'd you go to college for? And she goes, oh, I didn't go to college. And I was like, then how did you get in?
Yeah. And tell me more.
Yeah, I was like, tell me more. I'm listening.
Yeah.
And she was like, no, I just became a firefighter, and that qualified me because through firefighting you can get so many different classes. And I was like, oh, really? And I was like, so how do you become a firefighter?
Yeah.
You know, and she was like, well, like, you know, you could just go to your, like, one of the local departments, you know, near you and stuff like that. And I was like, actually, I'm going to do that.
That's awesome.
And through that, I had a friend at the time whose ex was a firefighter, like down the road at the station, you know, down the road from me. And so I just popped up there and I was like, hey, I'm like interested in joining. Like, what does that look like? And gave me all the paperwork, talked to the captain, and then like joined the, you know, it's not the academy. The academy's different. I always say the academy, but it's like their training basically is what I joined. And went through all of that.
How hard was the training?
It's pretty difficult.
Rigorous, I would imagine.
It is. Yeah. It's the hardest mental and physical like sort of thing I've like put myself through. Yeah, I mean it's like boot camp basically.
Yeah.
And it's paramilitary. Is that the word? I think it is. Yeah. And what was I gonna say? Yeah, like you get so many different like classes through them. Like I got my hazmat awareness and operations through that.
A lot of different certs you get too.
Yeah, certs. Yeah. You know, EMR, you can get your, you know, EMT, AEMT, all that kind of stuff through them. You can, like swift water rescue, all that kind of stuff. So
you're equipped. Like you're ready. You're ready. If a disaster happens, you're the person you want to be next to. That's awesome.
And that's the thing. So it's like you got all that stuff, and that's what basically qualified you for the job that I was trying to get.
Yeah.
But I mean, this kind of all like loops back into like the church stuff. So it's like after I went through all my training, I did my live burn, you know, where you go to the tower and they, you know, blow fire in your face and you have to do all this stuff, and they put you in the hot box and you're like,
oh my gosh,
you know, being heated like a rotisserie chicken. After all of that and I graduated, I'm like, all right, now it's time to get to the ministry, you know, because I did that for like a little over a year. And I like called them up to, you know, do my application. And they were like, great, you're like the ideal candidate, you know, like we want to hire you. And I was like, yes, thank you, God. You know, I've been praying about this.
Yeah.
And they go, but we see that you're not a member of a church. And I'm like dead in the middle of me trying to find a church and like, you know, this whole like, you know, journey that I'm on.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, you know, and I was trying to schmooze them a little bit. I was like, yeah, but like, you know, I've been a Christian for many years. Like, you know, I was like, I go to church every Sunday. Like, church is, you know, isn't essential for me. Like, I believe in church. I believe, you know, I'm just trying to like say what I have to like get them to be like, okay, you good, you know.
Yeah.
And they were like, nah, we like,
They
we
just
want to
weren't
make
going
sure
for it.
that, no, they didn't. And they were like, we just want to know that there's like a church home supporting you. We got to know that you're like connected to a church. Like it's a ministry, you know? And I was like, all right, I get it.
That's fair. Yeah.
And so I told him, I was like, all right. I was like, tell you what. I was like, I have been looking for a church. And I'm like, I'm not going to rush this process just because I want this job. But I was like, give me the, you know, the rest of this year, which was last year. I was like, give me the rest of this year to like find a church. And then I'll call you back like once we become a member of a church. And so that's kind of where we're at right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nah, that's first of all, I just want to say, I was thinking about this as we were talking about it. How determined you were to get this. Like you were like, but you keep seeing like, okay.
Bro, you talk about a go-getter. I am her.
No, that's what's up, bro. Like there was like, okay, I have to do this. I have to do this. You know, and you kept like, you wanted to go and like seeing this through. That's amazing. So that my hats off to you. That's respect for keeping that up. Cause I know a lot of people that would have seen all these roadblocks. They would have been done after the call. After that first call, like, oh, like you didn't go to college, like, well, you know, there's that. You know what I'm saying? So like that, and that's crazy how it seems like God just still like, you know, like just put stuff in position for you to pursue that.
Yeah. There's a will, there's a way.
There's a will, there's a
Especially
way.
if it's God's will.
That's 100%. Nothing can stop that. So that's awesome. And so, yeah, you said you're in the process of just finding that church now. Have you like what I'm trying to word this, but like, are you content with the fact that like, not to say that you're never going to find a church, but like, is this something that you still want to do? Or are you kind of just like, hey, if God kind of puts it in front of me to where like I am blessed to find a church, let's go do this? Or like you really just want to find a church just to find a church, first of all. You know what I'm saying? Like kind of like where are you at? Because I know you said that
Are
was
you talking about the ministry? Like,
yeah.
am I okay with?
Yeah. Are you like are you okay with potentially like that not happening?
Yeah, I thought about this too, especially because like the search for a church became longer and longer. Longer than I thought it would be. I mean, it's been years now.
Yeah.
I have come to a place where I'm like, God, if this isn't the end goal, like I'm at a place where I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
You know, because all I want is God's plan anyways. So,
Right.
You know, if that's, you know, not in his plan, then so be it. Like, it's okay.
Yeah.
You know, I know there's, you know, other uses for like what I've been working towards.
100%.
But yeah, I'm good. I'm good either way.
Yeah. And that's a beautiful place to be at, honestly.
Yeah.
Because I know a lot of people that like, that have, like you said, you've been praying for this. Like,
I was so convinced. I was like, I'm going to get the job.
Yeah.
You know, even them being like, you're the ideal candidate. I'm like, let's go.
Yeah, exactly. And like, I know people like are so adamant about this one thing and like, it doesn't happen. And then they just like kind of just crumble, you know what I'm saying? And they're not in the headspace that you are now, which is, I think is beautiful. Like where like, I'm okay. Like if God is like, hey, this is not the door that I want you to walk through, you know what I'm saying? And at peace with that. Cause I think that's important to be at peace with that. Hey, maybe God has a different plan, you know?
Yeah. Cause God's plan is always good and you know, it's going to work out in the end. So it's like, how could I be mad at that?
100%.
I think the only discouragement is like, not even the ministry. It's just like, why haven't I found a church yet?
Yeah.
That's the only discouragement that I'm still wrestling with. Like literally every Sunday I have like this anxiety of like, here we go, gonna step into another new church.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, I feel like, you know, just when we're in the, you know, the Bible Belt. So there's,
there's a church on every corner.
Every corner.
Yeah.
So it's like, that's cool. But also that's a lot of churches.
Yeah. You want it to be the right church, the church that God has for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I that can be overwhelming. Like when you see every church and you're just like, oh my God. Like when you're like, oh my gosh.
Tired.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. No, that's awesome. Well, for what is, I hope that does work out, because that seems like such a dope thing. So like, if you, let's say you go through with it, like, are y'all would be stationed somewhere, and like then you kind of go, like, kind of how does that work?
So this is the cool part, and this is also kind of like literally everything that I've like orchestrated. Well, I say me, God,
right?
But like how I've kind of like worked things out in my life is that all my jobs and hobbies, I want to make money from them. That's a big thing for me. And I also want to be able to work on what I want to work on and still have free time to do, other hobbies. So it's like, even, like my day job, I guess you could say, is I work for a high touch catering company, but it's like gig work. So it's on request. So I can literally say, I want to work this day. I don't want to work this day.
Right.
So then I keep days open that I need to, and the days that I keep open, I can play my cello. I can, do, hair for somebody, you know, and, get paid for that.
Right.
But I'm like sitting on my shirt. Well, tell me again what your first question was. 'Cause you said
dang, I kind of forgot.
Oh, you said, being able to,
oh yeah, how would that work with being a part of that ministry? Like, would you have to be stationed somewhere and y'all go out to different places?
So with this, if I get that job, it's an on-call job. So
you could be wherever and they would just send you.
Like I'd still be doing like my normal stuff here.
Oh, okay. That's
they
beautiful.
Could call me up and then be ready to deploy in 24 or 48 hours to X place.
Yeah.
So then I would be able to just be like, well, I don't have a 9 to 5 that I have to be like, hey, like, is it okay if I just like leave the country for like 3 months? You know what I mean? Like, so I have like my part-time, sort of gig, doing the catering and all the other stuff.
Yeah.
It's just easy to be able to like pick up and go.
That's awesome. Because that's what I was gonna ask. Like, how long do these deployments last? Like,
they say be ready for like, at a minimum, like 3 weeks, and then it could be up to several months. And as far as I can tell, it's kind of like you can kind of stay as long as you like want to, sort of. I mean, you're paid for this, so I think that they want sort of a time frame that you can be there,
right?
For sure, like minimum 3 weeks. But if you have a lot of extra time, you could be there up to several months,
right?
Depending on the type of disaster, I guess.
Okay, that's cool. So, tell me about like the ministry part of it, because I know you said it's a ministry, but it is also like disaster relief in a way. Like, what's like the ministry part of that? I
mean, I know like kind of the ethos. I mean, have you heard of Samaritan's Purse?
I haven't. No.
Okay, so Billy Graham, right?
I've heard the name.
Billy Graham's brother, Franklin Graham.
Okay.
This is his ministry, Samaritan's Purse. Have you heard of Operation Christmas Child?
Yes.
Where you make the boxes? Okay, that's part of Samaritan's Purse.
Okay, got you.
So DART, Disaster Assistance Response Team, is a segment off of Samaritan's Purse.
Okay.
That organization.
Okay.
So it's Franklin Graham's operation. And it's, they're like the ethos of like what they're doing is to spread the gospel in Jesus' name, obviously. So it's a lot of, hey, we're providing, food, just, disaster relief, items like toiletries. We are, excavating, like land that has been, we're helping rebuild, we're doing all these things, but why are we doing it?
Yeah.
It's because we're Christians. We believe in Jesus. Like, in meeting people in disasters, like they're at their lowest points. And so it's like, that's a perfect opportunity to, share Jesus with them and, give them a hope.
That's
that
good.
There's more out there.
That's good. So basically, like, y'all are just going on a big mission trip.
Essentially, yeah.
Just
because I even went through like, do I want to be a missionary? When I was younger, I always had a heart for that, and I loved to travel. I loved to experience different cultures and diversity in that way, and like, this was right up my alley. Yeah.
No, that's awesome. That sounds super dope, bro. Like, and you be getting paid for it too, and you're getting to use all your skills that all these certs that you got. Like, man, that sounds like, so that's the dream.
That's kind of the dream.
That's the dream job.
Yeah. Awesome.
Well, I hope that happens. That's awesome. Okay, so let's talk about your fashion and your style, and kind of how that came about. And so like I know you said that fashion has always been something that you've loved since a young age. Yeah. How does that evolve? How did faith get intertwined with that? Like, tell me that whole journey.
So I mean, I touched on how like, you know, we dressed like very conservative, you know, modestly, like growing up. I would always try to find a way how to make it, you know, my own and be creative with certain things. I mean, I was also very creative with my hairstyles at the time. Like I had, you know, my hair was all the way, you know, past my waist, and it was all like one length. And so it was super easy to just do these crazy braids and updos and things like that. And I would, you know, take my outfits, and I loved color. So it was just, I would experiment with like a bunch of different like patterns and colors and putting those together and figuring out how they worked. And, you know, hair accessories. I mean, it was just always, it was the full thing. Like it wasn't just the clothes. It was like the jewelry, the makeup, the hairstyle, the hair clips, the you know, hair accessories, the shoes, the socks, you know, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I see the socks.
I see the
socks. I don't know if y'all see the socks, but
y'all see the socks.
those are tough.
But yeah, so it's just like always doing something with my outfit, even though I was very limited in what I could wear. And then kind of after I realized, oh, I don't have to like always wear skirts, like I can actually wear pants, because that was even a big thing for my family. Was like, my family, since we kind of grew up in that church, it was kind of like, you wear skirts all the time,
right?
Period. You know, so when we were growing up, it was kind of like, oh, can we wear pants? It came, you know, to these like really loose pants, to like, you know, you couldn't wear shorts that were above your knee still, and so it was just like a lot of like, but you know, shout out to my mom though. She was like, she was trying to do her best, you know? Yeah. Like, and she, you know, she instilled like modesty in us, and I think that was great. And I still hold that today. Like, you know, but yeah, like kind of, I've actually just recently, you know, been able to kind of like branch out, like actually with fashion. Yeah. And like last month I was able to go to New York Fashion Week.
Saw that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
So that was really cool, and that was kind of like my first taste of something other than Nashville, because Nashville ain't really got a culture for fashion here.
And so let's talk about really quickly. Nashville like has like, it's just now starting to get some of these different things, because of course y'all know Nashville, everybody just thinks about country music. Yeah. Everybody just thinks about that, which it is a very prominent thing here.
Being fashionable here is wearing a cowboy hat, fringe, rhinestones, and boots.
Yes.
That's it.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. You'll see that everywhere. But I think now, like, from moving here and kind of seeing how diverse it actually is, there's people here like yourself, like John, and like the whole entire community, that are doing different things other than just doing country music and all that stuff, and like what Nashville is known for. And I think I love that, like, y'all are here, like Nashville natives here, like furthering that culture here and trying to cultivate that here. Like, I think that's great. Like,
that's like the biggest thing that I'm like focusing on right now, is like literally cultivating that here, because we don't have
that. Like, you have to go to New York or LA, you know, to do that. So.
And I was even told, like, growing up, kind of when I was, you know, experimenting more with my clothing, that I have a very New York fashion. And you do. And I didn't even know what that meant. I've never been to New York. I don't really know about New York like that, you know, but I would be like sporting the Timbs, stuff like that. I'd be like, very New York.
You're very New York.
What does that mean?
Yeah. No, you rocking the Timbs? That's New York for sure. No, that's awesome.
So I think that's funny, because it's like somebody who doesn't even know what New York style is already dressing a certain way. You know? So I think that was interesting. And then one of my friends, Joaquin Pasco, like, he's Filipino, so he has a lot of like Asian inspired sort of designs and stuff, which I have been introduced to, which I'm now loving, and a lot of, you know, interesting draping and things like that. But yeah, I think just recently, like, making friends with him and his connections, and he was the one that, you know, got me out to New York. And then actually, you know, we're supposed to go to Tokyo for Fashion Week this fall.
That's dope.
Which I'm super pumped for.
Oh my god!
Because, you know, the Tokyo fashion is fire.
Yes, Tokyo fashion is insane.
It's insane.
Yes, that's awesome.
Definitely gonna be bringing a empty suitcase.
Oh,
you know,
have
along,
to.
so I could just, you know,
just stock up on everything. Stuff that you can only get over there.
Only over there.
No, that's beautiful. Okay, awesome. Yeah, and so then I'm sure that transitioned to you wanting to style people, and so that's what you do. That's what you do. One of your hobbies that you do.
Yeah, and it's still like a hobby right now. I'm still trying to kind of figure out where my place is in the fashion world, because I mean, what I love most is being able to dress how I want
Yeah.
You know, because I feel like I didn't really have that growing up, and
Yeah.
you know, but I want people to be able to experience, because people tell me all the time, I love your style. I want to be able to like fall into my style, you know, in that way, and to be able to like help someone find their style in that way and feel good about like how they look. I think is such a cool and important thing, you know, because like you can feel confident what you're wearing. And, you know, some people are okay with just wearing, you know, sweats and, you know, a wife beater. That's fine. Like, no shade to those people at all.
Shout out to y'all.
Yeah. You know who you are. But I'm just like, anybody that does have that sense for like wanting to, you know, dress a little different, you know, a little extra flair. Like I'm like, for those people, like, let's figure it out. So I'm still kind of like, you know, experimenting in that area.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. Hold on. One thing I forgot. You model too.
Well,
No, don't hit me with this. Well, y'all. All right. Go to Instagram right now, the Unicorn 615, or just go to Chey's page. It's Cheyanna Walker, right?
yeah,
That's
it's official Cheyanna Walker.
official Cheyanna Walker. You will see the modeling that she's done. Great. Like you've done like when you were at John's the Unicorn fashion show, like you were walking, like that was awesome too. And seeing that, and then I've seen the stuff that you've done with Joaquin as well, like styling and also being models. That's also really cool that you can do both. Like you can actually actively style, help creatively, and also model and show the stuff that you're doing.
Yeah, and it's not something that it's like, oh, I've always wanted to be a model. It's because I so enjoy the clothing and wearing them that it's like that's like a way to showcase it, and I love that. I eat that up.
Yeah.
But for like John's show, that was the first time I like walked for a show.
Really? Okay.
And so I called Pasco and I was like, listen, John wants me to walk in this show.
Yeah.
I've never walked before.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, I want to do my best.
Yeah.
And he goes, oh, I got you. He hooked me up with one of his former models that worked, would walk in New York Fashion Week. And he was like, get coffee with her, tell her to show you, you know, to show you how to walk.
Yeah.
And I was like, perfect. So.
And you killed it.
No,
you killed it.
no,
Yeah. Because you telling me that was your first time, like I did not know that was your first time. Because
Really?
you walked like you've been walking. Like
Thank
for sure.
you.
No, for sure. So that's dope. That's dope.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
But yeah, she was able to like show me, you know, some tips and tricks and stuff like that. And that was like great. And so I just try to utilize that on the runway. And then I will also be walking for another show soon.
Hey.
Which is fun.
Awesome.
But I've enjoyed just doing like the little modeling things here and there, and you know, like the content for Pasco's upcoming show on May 1st is, you know,
That's gonna be at the Vol too, right? At Studio Vol, or is it?
not there. It's gonna be like in the Wedgwood, Houston area.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Awesome.
But that's gonna be a crazy experience.
Yeah.
Like I can't even tell you. I don't want to say anything because I don't want to give anything away.
Yeah.
but,
No.
like,
No.
It's gonna be crazy.
May 1st.
May 1st. Yeah.
Awesome.
Mark your calendars.
Mark your calendars. Awesome.
Yeah.
No, that's dope. Okay, so like kind of bring it back to how have you kind of forwarded your faith in your fashion now and embodying that in what you look like. I know we talked about you know, you're like being in church and how making that unique then, but how now would you say that you're still kind of incorporating that into your fashion and kind of what you want to pull?
If I'm being completely real, I think that I'm still trying to figure that out a little bit.
Yeah, of course.
I think the biggest thing that sticks out in my mind is that I want to be able to be fashionable and dress well, but still be modest. Kind of going back to the modesty.
Okay, so that's what it is. That's awesome. Yeah,
I think definitely being modest is one of my top priorities.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah. Well, as a woman of God, that's a great quality. And then, like speaking of your hair, you said your hair was like all the way down past your waist,
yeah,
but
it was very long.
But you do hair.
Yeah.
So like I'm assuming did you learn doing hair to do hair by doing your own back then?
Yeah.
That was what it.
Yeah.
That was
I was always doing hair growing up.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd have moms come to me with their children and be like, "Can you please detangle my child's head?" Because I'm very like soft-handed, like I'm very gentle.
So you were the person.
Yeah,
you were the person.
I
the
was the
mom.
person. They'd be like, "He's got mats back in," you know, and
Fix
I'd be
it.
like, "I got it,"
Yeah,
you know.
fix
And
it,
I
yeah.
was, you know, people would be very tender-headed, but I was always able to do that, and yeah, I just loved it. I mean, I would sit there for hours. I didn't care. I loved it, you know.
That's awesome.
Yeah, doing my own hair, doing, you know, friends' hair and stuff like that. I do just crazy braided, you know, designs, stuff like that, and I just enjoyed like the tedious work. So I don't, you know, I don't really do it professionally, but you know, I didn't go to school for it or anything. But I've had a lot of people like reach out for like little one-offs of like I had a girl reach out. She's like, "Hey, I'm doing a content shoot. It's like a 1800s theme sort of ball. Like, could you do like a Pride and Prejudice updo?" I'm like, absolutely.
Dope.
So I just went over to her house, did a little updo, you know, tailored it to how she wanted it, pieces in the, you know, coming down in the front, like whatever you want, you know, in the back, all that kind of stuff. And then, you know, and she would, you know, pay me for it. And so it's like,
that's so dope.
Little side thing.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. So speaking like in the grand scheme of things, maybe like 10, 15 years from now, like kind of what does Chey's life look like? Like, do you wanna be involved in that ministry? Do you want to have your own hairdressing studio? Do you want to like have your own creative director studio? Like, do you want to like do all these different things? Like, do you want to travel and be a cellist, like, and be a professional cellist? Like, because you have all these different things. Like, how do you? Where do you see yourself kind of going with all of this, you know, in the future?
Yeah, I mean, music is super important to me.
Yeah.
And it's like all I've known since a very young age. And like playing cello, my sister's played piano for several years. My brother plays violin. Everybody kind of sings to a certain type of capacity. My dad was, you know, both my parents actually were in a band growing up. My dad worked for Billy Ray Cyrus. Like, we have music in the family. He said, Time out.
You know what's crazy? Guys? You see how she just name dropped and just continue just to skirt past that? Like, that was like a crazy name just to drop.
I'm just saying, because it's kind of one of those things of like, my dad's a legend. You know what I mean? Like, my dad has like this past, and he's just like, he did that like back then, like before I was born and stuff. And like now, like ever since, you know, I was born, he's just been a mortgage guy. He just works in mortgage. That's what he's been doing this whole time, which I think is hilarious.
Billy Ray. Okay, so so what did he do?
I think he was like, I would have to get this wrong. I think he was like the production manager or something like that.
That's super dope. So it's in your blood. It's in your blood.
It's in my blood. It's in my veins.
Yeah.
But he played guitar growing up, so it's like, you know, I always heard the electric guitar and the amp being fired up like in the evenings, stuff like that.
Love that.
I loved that. And I'm kind of like the only person that still does music in my family, which is kind of sad, because it's like we could have been a family band. Like, we could have really like done some cool things. Yeah. But yeah, like, I still actively play my cello. I was part of an orchestra for several years, like just a classical orchestra, which I loved. And I've done a lot of different ensembles. I've played in weddings. I've played at events. I've played on the side, you know, in the street, you know, and stuff like that. So I love just anything, you know, that I can play my cello. You know, I like to play with other cellists, but, you know, it's actually slim pickings out here. Like, it's not every day you meet a cellist, and we're in Music City. So whenever I can find, you know, someone, it's like, let's jam, let's have a jam session. But I would love to do more with music, with my cello, but like more experimental, and maybe some more jazz, do a little, maybe some rock and roll, maybe do some. Because I mean, you know, like, a cello is a classical
it's a classical
instrument, but I've always liked playing it the wrong way, or, you know, using it as a drum. You know, turning around, using it as a drum. You know, pizzicato, which is plucking the strings and, you know, doing things like that. So hopefully in the future, because, you know, I mean, your question was in 10 to 15 years. Well, what does it look like? I think I would love to be like well into the ministry I'm trying to get with, if that's still an option. I would like to be like centered around that, because at the end of the day, like, I'm a Christian, and you know, that's where my heart is at. And like fashion, you know, a lot of people would say it's very materialistic. I think that you can find a way, you know, to minister to people through fashion. I don't think it has to be restricted to that. I see where they're coming from, but I have a different perspective on that. But,
For sure.
So like, I think I'll always love dressing, you know, well, or whatever you want to say, just like having a style, a personal style. But I don't know, what that would look like in 10 to 15 years.
Yeah.
I know I'll still be probably dressing the same way, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll be like well into my 30s.
Yeah. Have you ever thought about making like, I don't know if you have like making your own clothes?
I
or
have.
Like, okay.
I have thought of it. I think that overwhelms me a little bit.
Yeah. No, that's, bro.
I have ideas. Yes, I do. I have crazy ideas.
I don't know. Like, I wouldn't even know where to start with that. You know what I'm saying? People who make their own clothes and do all that. That's so
knowing
much.
Pasco, who does this stuff from scratch.
Yeah.
I think what the joy that I find in is that him and I can collaborate in that way. Like, you make the clothes, I have the ideas, or you make the clothes, and I'm like, well, what if you put that shirt with these pants?
Right.
And it's like mind blowing or something. It's like I like creating in that way of probably something that's already been created.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a good question, because definitely, like, when I was younger, I had a lot of sketches.
Yeah.
But then I didn't realize the difference between being a designer and being a stylist.
Yes.
I don't think I want to make stuff from scratch.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got you. No, that's dope. That's dope. Hair studio potentially?
Maybe. So I had dreams of doing that too. This is the thing about me. It's like, you could do this, you could do that, you could, but I don't know, future wise, if hair's in the cards.
Yeah.
But I actually, like, kind of going back to ministry and hair, like, one of the things, because I would go into like the inner city here, and I was with this ministry called Elijah's Heart, and we would give out like food and toiletry items and whatever like people needed at the time, and we would do that like every Saturday.
Okay.
And so I kind of was thinking like it would be super cool to be able to just like do a pop-up and just for free do like these like ladies' hair, because it's like it's a big self-confidence, self-image thing. It's
right.
Like if you have ratty hair or stuff like that, or you don't have any hair, like you want a wig or something,
right?
It's like I was training myself how to do like lace fronts and wigs and things like that.
That's so awesome.
So like maybe being able to do that like for free for those women,
that would be dope.
Yeah, but it's also like a ministry thing.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
Yeah.
With so this is something that I kind of deal with as well, and I'm curious to hear your response. Like with all the gifts, because there are gifts that God has given you, and all of the things that you are passionate about doing. Do you ever feel overwhelmed, like with all of that, and you're like, God, I don't know what you want me to do. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know if you want me to do this or this or that. Like, have you experienced that?
Yeah. I think that's also like, you kind of caught me like right in like my crisis of like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
Because I didn't get with the ministry I thought I was going to get with. So
right.
that was kind of like, that was my goal I was going to reach, and I'm not there.
Right.
Still looking for a church.
Right.
If I find a church, I joined, membership there, then I can go to the ministry, which is going to take me in. It's also going to use my firefighting experience. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so it's like, there's a lot of moving parts, but, it is very overwhelming because everything feels kind of stagnant right now.
Yeah.
And I'm really just, for me, it's a time of like quietness and trying to like really just ask God, like, I don't want to move until you tell me, because it's like I could do all of these things that, these are gifts that you've given me. And I think that's wonderful.
Right.
And I enjoy those, but it's like, I want to, each stage of my life, each of these like gifts have been highlighted. Right.
Yes.
So I have to be okay with maybe some of them just kind of dimming a little bit and moving on to something else. But yeah, it's more of just a prayerfulness and a mindfulness of like, where is God trying to take me right now? And my dad always taught me, he always said like, you don't have to like stress that much about like the future, right?
Yeah.
But he was like, you just need to be concerned with just making the next right step. The next right step being like, okay, God, like hands off, like, this is you tell me where to go.
Yeah.
Anyway, but
yeah, I love that outlook, because I think about like similarly, it can be paralyzing in a way, thinking
it's fear of the unknown.
Exactly. Like it can be paralyzing in a way, like, you have all these gifts that God's given you and you're kind of just like, I don't know what to do. I have like have talked about through this whole pod, like the ideas that you have, and like you have all these ideas, and it sometimes can get like cluttered, or like I don't even know like where to start with them. I don't know, and what I watched this video of Denzel Washington. He was giving a speech like to the Colorado football team, and he was talking to them about platform versus purpose. And he was talking about how his purpose is to spread the gospel and to preach, but his platform was acting. That's what raised his knowing, his influence. Everybody knows him as Denzel Washington, the actor. Yeah. But if you ask him, is that your purpose? He would say no.
I didn't know he was a Christian.
Yeah. No, it's crazy. Like this, it's a video that happened. I think it was last year, that he made this video. And that resonated with me so much, because it was like, okay, God, like I know what my purpose is. Your word says what my purpose is. Yeah. I'm just waiting on you to give me the platform, Yeah. And so that's just like that seems like kind of where you're at right now. You're kind of just like, okay, God, like hands off. Like I'm praying into this. I'm waiting for you to make that, to open the door,
Like I feel like I have all the tools.
Exactly.
But I'm trying to figure out what I'm trying to build.
Exactly. Beautifully put. Yeah, 100%. Yeah. And so I had to ask you that question, because I feel like people who, just for the people who are watching this and kind of have like similar experiences, like where they have like these gifts and they're kind of just like, oh, like,
you get lost in the sauce.
Yeah, exactly. You just get lost in it, 100%. So no, that's beautifully put. I want like to kind of wrap it up. Like, is there anything that you have coming up next that you want people to see, to look at, to be on the lookout for? May 1st, I know you said that as Pasco's show that you'll be, are you going to be walking or styling, or what are you going to be doing there? Do you know, or you don't want to say yet?
I don't want to say.
Okay, you don't want to say yet. That's cool. But May 1st is one.
It's gonna be exciting.
Yeah. Is there anything else that you have coming up that you want to talk about?
Yeah. I mean, that's coming up. That's gonna be great. That's gonna be fun. I think. I mean, I am just kind of trying to be like quiet in that sense of, I think right now I'm very involved with fashion, because that's just what's at the forefront right now. And working with Pasco, I mean, like we've, almost every day, like we're connecting, we're talking about the show, what's the next thing, how are we, gonna collab, how are we gonna, and just like helping him on that. So that's kind of like consuming my days right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, like honestly, just the ministry. Like I still have a heart for that. I still think that God's gonna get me there eventually.
Yeah.
But again, it's like all these stepping stones that I'm waiting on, and finding a church. So nothing, I'm just a no, like I'm not, and next coming, have the fashion show.
Yeah.
But honestly, like just hopefully the ministry one day, and being able to go international with it and
Beautiful.
do all of these like crazy things, that I'm looking forward to.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. That's awesome. Like like you being so passionate about ministry, that's a encouragement and a light to a lot of people, because I think that like we as Christians can get caught up in praying every day, reading our Bible, going to church every Sunday, doing the things, but not actively like fulfilling out the Great Commission, evangelizing, doing these things that God commands us to do, and of course he commands us to do the other things as well, but it can often be uncomfortable for a lot of people. I know for me, especially, like it can get uncomfortable sometimes. Yeah. It's a natural thing.
Oh, and don't think it's like
no,
easy for me
no,
to just
for
share
sure, for sure.
faith.
No,
like,
for sure.
But I'm more like, don't tell me, Jesus, show me.
Come on.
It's like, I mean, that's I all the lip service in the world, right?
Yes.
But it's like I'm very much so like a doer sort of,
Yes.
person. So
Yes.
it's like I really just want to be able to like share these things and like the works of my hands to be like for people and like for Jesus in that way, so they can see Jesus through me, like that sort of thing. Because it's like I even struggled with like I don't even know, like just like talking and conversating. Like I could have good conversations, but it's like I'm like, where am I going with this conversation? And so it's like if I can show somebody, like I'm visual, you know, like if I can show them something, then they'll understand me. You know, so it wasn't like, you know, how am I going to tell you or be super intellectual about this, right? But it was like how am I going to show you like something tangible, you know?
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I think that's why like all of my hobbies are very like hands-on, you know. Everything's, you know, with your hands.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. That's beautiful. God gifted you those hands, so you got to use them. You know,
I know.
That's awesome.
I'm trying. No,
That's beautiful. All right, we're gonna get to the song. Wait, where is it? Here it is. Clouds Over My Head. I've never heard again. Shai's put me on today. Shai's put me on. I don't usually I have the songs that I want to play for the pod. Shai and I were talking before we started filming, and I was just like, "What do you want to hear?" So she just told me the song. So I
said, "I got you."
Yeah, she said she got me, so she just played it. So here, wait, how do you pronounce this artist's name?
Okay, well, I wondered if you knew who this artist was, because there's some controversial things about this artist.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wait, what? Like what?
That like there was like a whole scandal between, I think it was like he cheated on his wife, but I can't remember if it was like someone who was underage or just like another woman or what was going on. But his name is Gavi.
Gavi.
For those of you who know who this is, I'm so sorry. But I love his music. He was actually the first person that like introduced me to like Christian like music that wasn't just TCM, like radio music. So that's why he holds a special place in my heart. But like that's another conversation for another day. I feel like there's some redeeming qualities there now.
No,
but
for sure.
Yeah, this is Gavi.
Wait, did you listen to secular music growing up or no? That was out.
I was not allowed to.
That was out.
Yeah, that was completely out. But like stuff like this too, I wasn't even allowed to listen to Christian rap, R&B, hip hop, none of that.
No Lecrae.
Nah, I mean, unless it came on the radio.
Oh wow!
But like even something that was a little bit more like, you know, it was like turn it off.
Yeah,
turn it off.
That's the devil's beat.
That's the devil's beat.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, clouds over my head. Gavi, this is cool.
This is my
Relax
All my
vibes.
peace keeps falling out my hands. I need you around me. Oh, time and time seems life is figured out, and then I'm drowning. Why does it feel like I just tolerate? God, I've been working through all this pain.
Great voice. Wow.
Then I hesitate. I need to know that we ain't part of ways.
He does. Christian Post. Wow.
It's secure. I wish I trusted just a little more. Yeah, insecure. I wish I knew what all this pain was for. I saw my whole world crashing down on me. I questioned everything surrounding me.
Bro, now that you say Post Malone, I can't get that out of my head
You
now.
can't unhear it.
Yeah, I can't unhear the Post Malone. That's so crazy.
Just wanna believe, everyone seems like they got the answers, but they just point in different directions. I'm clouded by all these opinions, God. Can you just heal the damage?
Yeah, I would definitely like put this on. Like if I'm on a drive, sunny outside, vibes. Yo, this is good. This is good.
And about the stuff too that I mentioned beforehand, like seeing some of his stuff that he's like written after the fact has been like really interesting, because it's just like it's the human condition. Like,
Yeah.
people fall short of the
They
will
do.
of God
They do.
all the time.
All the time.
And so it's just like, you know, if you're repentant of it, you know,
Yeah.
and I don't know fully his story, but I'm just saying a lot of stuff in his music is like resonates deeply, you know, with me. I mean, you know, not like I cheated. I'm not even married. So. But I'm saying the way
We got
that
you. I see what you're saying. What you're saying.
know what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying. 100%.
I'm so glad you get me.
I got you.
Yeah, keep going. God's trying to show you something. I saw my whole world crashing down on me. I questioned everything surrounding me. Am I the only one?
Oh my gosh.
Wishing you were right in front of me. I just wanna believe. Yeah.
That was it. That was Clouds Over My Head by Gavi. This has been the YJP, episode 7, YG's podcast with Cheyanna Walker. thank you again so much for coming. This has been a great conversation. Official Cheyanna Walker. That's your on everything.
Yeah, I mean, I'm primarily on Instagram.
Yeah. That'll be in the description. Y'all go give her a follow. Look at all the things that she's doing for the kingdom. And so, yeah, we will catch y'all in the next episode.
The station with the best music. Best music.
I love the music.
You are now in the mix with DJ Savage.
I'm a DJ, guys. All right. Goodbye.